Hey there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading for November 2025. We're going to jump right in here. You have this card that says, Be bold, make the first move. You have this card that says, Balance, spirituality, and practicality. Sure. A lot of people getting these cards of needing to be bold this month, for sure. And, we do have Mercury retrograde pretty much the entire month. But, if you're making a move on something that you've already been doing, or making a bigger move like in work or business or something, then that is perfectly acceptable. Or even on this Mercury retrograde, I do feel is good for trying something again. So, during Mercury retrograde, we can revisit something like a project or, something that we've been working on all along, and we can reinvent it or turn it into something else. And, that can be a great use of your time during a Mercury retrograde, depending on what it is. Obviously, if it's like, learning how to hopscotch or something like that, that's probably, that could be fun maybe, but it might not be a good use of your time. So, make sure it's something that increases your efficiency with the Empress. You have the Seven of Pentacles, the Two of Swords, and the Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, everybody looking to change their money, which makes sense. We also have Uranus going retrograde into Taurus in November, and it is retrograde, but it will move into Taurus in November, and I think this is going to make a lot of people think about changing their finances or wanting to improve their finances or wanting to do something different with their finances. Seven of Pentacles, he's just analyzing his current situation, and he's kind of like saying, what can I do? What can I do about this situation that I'm in? Can I change it? Can I make it better? This is my card that says, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it worth it to keep working on what I'm working on, or is there something better? The beautiful thing about this reading is we end with the Eight of Pentacles here, and the Eight of Pentacles is like straightforward, efficient work. So you really could be discovering some, like a very practical solution to your finances, or it doesn't even have to be a solution. This could be a good thing, like making more money. You have the Two of Swords. Yeah, I would just stay open at this time, Aquarius. I think fixed signs could have a little bit of this. I don't even know what to call it, to be quite honest with you, but I feel that there could be moments where you are presented with information and you might not think that, it's like maybe someone gives you an idea and you're like, that can't work or whatever. And so the fixed signs in this month of November, every single one has basically said that you need to stay open to people's ideas or, what people could say to you, because you might think that something won't work, but then it will. And Two of Swords, she's a little bit stuck. She's kind of thinking this or that, but she needs a solution that is from over here, and it kind of just feels to me like you need a unique solution this month. Like, I don't even think this is not a bad reading at all. I don't think this is a bad thing. I feel this could be like maybe someone has an improvement for you, or maybe you could learn something that would lead to an improvement. And I would just don't automatically assume that something won't work. You have the Ace of Pentacles, which could be a big opportunity coming in for you this month. Again, Ace of Pentacles is another card that's been coming up quite a bit. So, it could be a great time for people to focus on opportunities that can grow, especially with the Empress, right? The Ace of Pentacles is something that needs to be nurtured into existence. I always say the best way to look at an opportunity with the Ace of Pentacles is that it's like a garden. You have to water it, feed it, fertilize it, give it sunlight, all those other things. And the Empress is the ultimate nurturer in the tarot. So, whatever this opportunity is clearly something that you will be able to nurture or care for or improve, with this energy. So I have no clue what I'm talking about right now. So I'm going to stop babbling and we're going to clarify this and figure it out. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Six of Pentacles. Yeah, more planting seeds type energy. Six of Pentacles is balance. I've been getting a weird message this month as well that people should not be focused on balance. That does not mean that you should be burning yourself out or something like that. But, it's like kind of like this weird message that I've been getting for a couple people where it's like, if you need things to be perfect, then there might be a little bit of an issue. But, if you're willing to allow things to be a little bit out of balance, then that could be fine. And I'll give you a couple examples. Like if you're starting a business, it's like, should you work 200 hours a week on your business for the rest of your life? I hope not. That sounds pretty terrible to me, right? But if you had to work like 200 hours for a couple of weeks, would that be the end of the world? Probably not. It's like sometimes we have to, be a little bit out of balance at first to get something going. And then once we get it going, then we can back off a little bit, right? And that's what I'm talking about with this Six of Pentacles energy. And you have the Justice card at the end as well. With the Two of Swords, here you go. You have the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, Ten of Pentacles, like everything you want and desire in your life. Again, very common for fixed signs right now because of Uranus going back into Taurus. Uranus and Taurus just in general wants the collective to create the Ten of Pentacles, more or less. Uranus and Taurus is all about freedom, kind of having a solid foundation, working on something long-term. Saturn retrograde, same exact thing. Saturn retrograde is really good for working on something that will take time to build, that could last a long time. Like I always tell people, like writing a book. If there was ever a time to write a book, it would be right now because of Saturn retrograde. And, Saturn loves things that require like consistent effort and responsibility and things like that. And I know that sounds boring, but, if you do that boring work, this could be your reward in the future is the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is basically everything you want and desire in your life. And as I always say, we don't just magically get this, but if you put the work in, then you could get it. With the Ace of Pentacles, you have the King of Cups. Yeah, we have to be careful of our emotions as well at the end of the year here. Neptune retrograde in Pisces as well. The King of Cups is sitting in the middle of the ocean. He has very deep emotions. This can be good and bad at the same time. It can be good because he understands his emotions. He understands, what's going to fulfill him and what's going to make his life better. But it's bad if you drown in your emotions. So he has to feel his emotions and then kind of like come up for air. He needs to make sure that he's not just staying down in the water. The other thing about the King of Cups is I kind of feel that the King of Cups is basically the time that we're in. He's sitting in choppy waters, so there's like crazy stuff going on around him, but he is perfectly fine. He's not allowing external situations to like control his reality. He is the one that is choosing to create the reality he desires. And things are going to be crazy until 2033. So I didn't say 2023. I get a lot of comments from people saying 2023. Is this an old reading? Is this whatever? No, 2033. So we're talking about 7 years from now. Again, Uranus and Gemini, it'll be a crazy time. So I think we all need to keep our heads on straight and make sure that we're not getting too wrapped up in, things we can't control or things that are happening around us or people that are losing their minds or whatever, right? We just need to stay grounded. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this influencer card. It says, you have just the right combination of qualities to connect with an audience, inspire change, and create a positive impact. Pluto in your sign. We talk about it all the time. You have this laziness card. It says your dreams are much bigger than your efforts to achieve them. It's funny that I was talking about working for 200 hours a week. If you want to accomplish great things, you'll have to try harder. Again, I wouldn't be burning yourself out here, Aquarius. The other thing that I would say is I think right now it's not so much about hard work, especially with the Empress and the Eight of Pentacles, which we can talk about, but I think it's more about taking those bigger chances that have a bigger chance of creating an impact. But the other side of that is the other chance is that you end up with egg on your face, right? You end up doing something that makes you look stupid. And will you look stupid? No. I think that when we think we are going to do something that could make us look stupid, we are much, much more worried about what other people think than we realize. And, most people, even if you make a mistake, even if you do something stupid, they forget about it. The only place that is not true is the internet. The internet never forgets. That is true. I've made a lot of mistakes on the internet, obviously. But, what I would say here is, for the most part, people really probably aren't going to care about the mistakes so much. And so we have to take bigger risks to make a bigger impact. And, that's basically what you should be focusing on for like the next 19 years with Pluto in your sign. And, with Pluto in your sign, that influencer card, it's like you don't have to necessarily be an influencer, but what I would say is that it's a good time for Aquarius to be influential. That could just be with your own family. It doesn't have to be this big thing, right? But Pluto is going to make you kind of like an inspiration, whether you realize it or not. You have the Empress, the Hierophant, and the High Priestess. So the Empress says, you are very attractive at this time, Aquarius, and probably attracting a lot of abundance. Again, the readings this month have been surprisingly abundant, I would say. So again, if you asked me at the beginning of the year, I probably would have said that end of the year would be very average for money for people. But October, came up as pretty good. This month is coming up as pretty good. I think we have to work for it. Obviously, we have to do things. Again, if you're playing small, then nothing is going to change. If you play big and make those big impacts or do something impactful, then you probably will see a good change, right? So you're going to have to do something. It's not going to magically happen, but, I don't know, looks pretty good. You have the Hierophant and the High Priestess, which are divine counterparts. I kind of like these two better than the Emperor and the Empress because it's like a more spiritual connection. So if you're looking for love, definitely could be a spiritual connection. I think for you, Aquarius, as a fixed sign, thinking outside the box is also going to be important. Your ruling planet, Uranus, being in Gemini, even though it's going to retrograde into Taurus, doesn't matter. It's already been in Gemini. So that Uranus in Gemini is rebellious energy. We have to, we definitely have to think outside the box. So, brainstorming crazy ideas for it, wherever you want to stand out is going to be good. Also, going against tradition is a good thing to do right now. The Hierophant is tradition. Neptune in Pisces is a direct challenge to traditional belief. And so we all have beliefs, certain rules that we come up with, that we just come up with because who knows why. And challenging those traditional beliefs is actually a good thing right now. Again, and I'm not talking about doing something illegal. I have to make that very clear on my channel. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about rules that people just make up because, like on YouTube, it's like for years I remember the rule was to do 12-minute videos, right? That was the rule. And people who broke it, everybody's like, what the hell are you doing? Doing longer videos, right? So it's like those are the rules we're talking about. The things that people say just because. And that's what I would challenge. You have the High Priestess, very intuitive time as well for you, so I would definitely be tapping into that intuition. I would take, I think I've said this to you before, Aquarius, but anything that you're trying to accomplish, I would multiply it by 1,000. The whole point of the High Priestess, I think everybody reads her as, intuitive, mystery, things like that, but really she is a card of unlimited potential. She has to explore her potential. And, if you follow the Fool's journey, the Fool gets to the High Priestess and he needs to see what his real potential is. And so a great way to do that is to, kind of shoot for the stars, so to speak. And, anything you want to accomplish, try to go for more. And even if you don't get more, you will probably get more than you originally wanted. So you will accomplish more than you thought you originally were going to get, right? And really, I look at the High Priestess as kind of like a challenge, and the challenge is to exceed your own expectations. And so that's what I would do with this card. With the Empress, you have the Five of Cups. It's kind of weird. I feel like you're looking at something the wrong way here in your life. And it has to do with appearances. It's weird that you start with that card. It says balance, spirituality, and practicality. And it's like we have spirituality and practicality right here. It's like we have the spiritual side of things and more the grounded 3D side of things here. And it's almost like you need to look at something from a spiritual perspective, or you need to flip it. I don't really have any good examples of what the hell I'm trying to talk about here. It kind of reminds me of whenever people try to make money. It's like, if you've ever noticed, sorry, I have to get this. Sorry about that, Aquarius, but the Five of Cups with the Empress, like I was saying, you have to look at something from a more spiritual perspective. We were talking about money and how sometimes, if you try to do something just for money, you're not going to make it, right? But if you do things for the right reasons, then you will. And that was what I was kind of getting on that Five of Cups. With the Hierophant, you have the Four Swords. Four Swords can be resting, relaxing, recovering, or healing. So a lot of you could be going through some sort of healing, or, could be going through a healing period with the Four Swords. And again, Mercury retrograde this month. It's an excellent month to heal. What I would say here is both cards represent blessings. The Hierophant is blessing the two people in front of him, and there's a person who's being blessed right here in the stained glass window. So I think it would be a good time for you to it's almost like you've asked for something. It's like you can have it from a spiritual perspective, or, something like that, as long as you're doing things for the right reasons. I also feel that, some of you clearly need to believe that you can have something. We have some cards here that would really represent you believing in yourself a little bit more. with the Five of Wands can be conflict or competition. We have this card that says, be bold, make the first move. And, if you, this to me looks like something where if you were bold, you would make the first move, if that makes sense. It's almost like that something that you're trying to accomplish, the boldness is what will make it a success. With the High Priestess, you have the Chariot. The Chariot can be a victory or a big win coming in for you. It would also be about setting yourself apart, which is exactly what we were talking about. He has this city behind him, and he is leaving the city behind him and he's going in a new direction, right? And so I feel for a lot of you, this could be you kind of like moving in a new direction in your life. It could be you, kind of like setting yourself apart, which we were talking about, like breaking the rules, being a little bit of a rebel type energy. And I think embracing that, you are an Aquarius, you are kind of like innovative and rebellious. So I would just embrace that, that part of yourself here, Aquarius. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Descendant card. It says invitation. You have this 8th house card. It says mystery on it. I think you should look into mystery. The High Priestess, she has that tapestry behind her, and the High Priestess really represents needing to peek behind the curtain, and so sometimes we can become interested in something, or we can have an idea or plan, we can meet a new person who seems interesting or whatever, and I feel like this is saying it would be worth it for you to you are being invited to to dig into the mystery and explore it, and to break out of some sort of box with the Hierophant. It's like the Hierophant is almost like a comfort zone, I feel, for you, Aquarius. And if you would maybe explore a little outside of it, who the hell knows what you might discover. Make sure to like and leave a comment, by the way. It really helps me out. You have the 7 of Wands, the 5 of Wands, and the 3 of Cups. 7 of Wands is what you know. 7 of Wands is knowing that you know. It is a card of conviction. It's like the more you believe something, or the more deeply you believe something, the more likely it is that you will be able to accomplish whatever that belief is, right? And so with the 7 of Wands, we have to work on our beliefs that we can, accomplish great things, or we can exceed our own expectations with the High Priestess. And I feel like the 7 of Wands is definitely encouraging you to do that. I do think it would be a good time for boundaries. We do have the 5 of Wands and the 3 of Cups. 5 of Wands would be like anyone in your life. The 3 of Cups is concentrated connections. It's people who really support you. 5 of Wands could be people who cause conflict. So, just real quick, I would make sure you're putting up boundaries against people who cause conflict. You have the 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands can represent competition. And like I said, I think you need to look into competition. I feel that some of you could be doing something where there is competition in your life, but I would encourage you to not shy away from competition. Again, everything about this reading is saying, like, yeah, sure, there might be competition. There might be people who do something a certain way in work, in business, in love, whatever, but you can be different. The reading is wanting you to set yourself apart. And by doing that, this right here won't even exist, because you will be unique. You will be moving in a different direction, or moving differently in general. And that's pretty much it with the 5 of Wands. You have the 3 of Cups. Again, 3 of Cups is those concentrated connections. These 3 people are celebrating a harvest that's going on around them. And I feel that a lot of you could be celebrating some sort of harvest at this time, because we have all these great money cards and the Empress, and if you've been working hard to have a harvest, I feel like you could. I also kind of feel like today is the 25th of October. I'm going to publish this video on the 26th. If you have something that you are wanting to like put out into the world, like now, I would do it now, even if you don't feel like you're 100% ready. It's popping into my head here for you, Aquarius. It's like, would it really matter if you waited? No, I don't think so. But at the same time, I feel like the reading, or at least this part of the reading, this row, is kind of like saying you could have a harvest now that you are thinking about waiting for. I don't really, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but there you go. Let's see. With the 7 of Wands, you have the 10 of Wands. Yes, I definitely feel at the end of the year here that you have to release burdens or responsibilities or obligations. This is kind of something I was going to talk about. I'm going to be doing 2026 readings pretty soon, and I was going to talk about how I feel in 2026, like one of the best things we could probably do at the beginning of the year is lighten the load. Get rid of any obligations or responsibilities that we just don't need, that don't belong to us. And that is kind of what I would do with the Ten of Wands, is I would make sure that you're not, that there aren't, like, to get rid of attachments and things that are weighing you down. I feel like 2026, we need to be like light on our feet. We need to be like ballerinas, right? We need to be hopping and skipping around, and we need to be light enough to be able to do that. With the Five of Wands, you have the Two of Cups. Some of you, this could be love related. You could think that there's competition in love when maybe there actually isn't. Or the Two of Cups could say, if you want love with the Five of Wands, that you have to go and face the competition, right? You have to be willing to put yourself out there and take the risk. And so Two of Cups can be a perfect match. Can be in, Hierophant and High Priestess for sure. Definitely could be a solid match coming in. With the Three of Cups, you have the Eight of Wands. Yeah, Eight of Wands is quick success or a quick conclusion. So definitely could be. And again, maybe this is why I feel like this part of the reading is saying that if you're thinking about, launching something like a business or a project, a product, something that you've been working on or whatever, it's like now is the time, because you could probably just have the success right now. and I would. Next, in the good stuff, you have this lighthouse. It says, you're a light that can't be hidden, so don't ever try to dim it for anyone. Yes, everything about this reading is bold, assertive, bright, putting yourself out there. You have this Time is Now card. It says, it's time to act now without hesitation. Move past the old and move forward. Yes, definitely time to take action. Again, whether you want to or not, like I said, people are going to be, have their eyes on you. You are going to stand out at this time, Aquarius, for the next 19 years with Pluto in your sign. So, like I said, I think whether you realize it or not, you kind of are going to be a guiding light for people. And the more you can do that from a spiritual perspective, the more benefits you'll get. You have the Justice card, the Queen of Swords, and the Eight of Pentacles. Justice is like cause and effect. Justice is balance. Justice is paying attention to what's working, what's not working. Probably the best thing for you to do, Aquarius, is to pay attention to what's working, what's not working, and to double down on what is working. It's like you and Leo, your opposite sign, always get this message with me. So it's clearly very important for the two of you to really pay attention to the evidence. One thing I will say is we just had Pluto go direct. Pluto was retrograde since May, and it just went direct the other day. And so Pluto retrograde wants us to get to the bottom of things, anything that we're working on, anything we're giving energy to in our life. And so even though Pluto's direct, it's going to be in the shadow for quite a long time. And so I would say for the next few months at least, really getting to the bottom of what's working and not working in your life is going to be important. You have the Queen of Swords, clarity. Again, this Mercury retrograde seems to be one of those retrogrades that's really focused on clarity and bringing us answers. She has her back to the entire reading when the Queen of Swords shows up at the end like this. And so this can represent you getting a lot of clarity or seeing things more clearly. So I just feel this is clarity. You have the Eight of Pentacles. I like the Eight of Pentacles because he is working on one thing. He is just working on completing his project, completing those pentacles, and he's about to get a result. This Queen of Swords could be bringing you the clarity of what is actually working in your life with the Justice card, which is great. And so if you can, obviously this will help you not waste time. And I feel that this could be leading to more abundance or success. With the Justice card, you have the Four of Wands. Four of Wands can be marriage. Four of Wands can also be about freedom. It can be a card of setting yourself free as well. So I feel a lot of you could be setting yourself free with the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands can be marriage and yeah, sure, there's love in this reading. But usually with the Four of Wands, we have to complete something. We have to cross through this finish line and get to the other side. So, a lot of you have the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands, the card of completion. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Lovers. Could be getting clarity on love as well, if you want love. The Lovers can also be clarity on a choice. So if you've been trying to make a decision, which you're an Aquarius, you probably have been trying to make a decision, you could be getting clear. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Five of Swords. Yeah, definitely time to take a risk. Five of Swords and the good stuff is kind of about like taking a risk, putting yourself out there, trying new things, seeing how things can work in your life. And, I think it is a good time for Aquarius to take a risk. You have this Staff card. It says you will be taken care of in difficult times. There you go. So you are fine. You have this Dog far away. It says a distant friend is thinking of you. We see good stuff for friends here. Three of Cups, a couple other cards. So if someone is popping up in your head, you might want to reach out here, Aquarius. You have the Success card. We see a ton of success in this reading. So I feel there is definitely going to be success, or could be success coming in for you in whatever you're working on. You have this ear. It says good news. Yes. Like I said, this month, there's something about this retrograde that could be bringing in, I think this is clarity. If you've been waiting for an answer or trying to get an answer from a person or trying to get approval on something, then that definitely could be the case. You have this older woman. It says dealings or relationships with an older woman. You have this bouquet that says compliments from an admirer. It definitely could be love coming in for you. The older woman could just be you. I'm not calling you old here, Aquarius, but sometimes and it doesn't matter what gender you are either. Sometimes I think these people cards are just talking about the person that I'm reading for. And so I think this could be like an admirer for those of you that want love. But this looks pretty good here, Aquarius. Pretty straightforward stuff. Thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.